Hey guys, it's the middle of February and I may be slightly overdressed. So I'm out here in the park doing some laps on a mid-February day. Normally it would be somewhere around freezing, but today it's 60 degrees. That's about 16 degrees Celsius. This is crazy. But when you get a gift like this, you got to take advantage of it. It's a nice way to kind of gauge where I am in my training, how I feel on the bike, because I've been training on the indoor trainer for the past 6 weeks or so. I'm through my first block of base training, about to start my second. At a certain point in time, you're going to say, am I ready? How do I know I'm ready?
I stay ready, so I don't have to get ready, Dex.
Now, it's great to have the confidence of a Will Smith, but it's a valid question. Regardless of whether you are training during the winter or if you start later, you're going to want to know when you are ready for that event that you've been looking forward to. Now, there are a few ways to figure this out. Over the years, I've come up with an old school way, and more recently, I've come up with a new school way. And I'll go over the new school way because that's more relevant to the training that I do on the indoor trainer, since that is more objective. All right, so what is the objective measure? Now, this can get boring because it has to do with power and numbers and a lot of stuff that's been covered online already. The great thing about it being objective is that once you know what the numbers are, you have a target to aim for, and you can repeat. Thanks. My bike is fire. Things that you don't expect to hear. Luckily, my bike is not on fire. It's just fire. Okay, so what's this objective measure? The objective measure is based on power. But it's not just based on functional threshold power, which is the number of watts that you can sustain for an hour. It's based on a ratio, and that is how many watts per kilogram of body mass that you have. So that's your functional threshold power over the number of kilograms in body weight. For me, it's important to use the measure of watts per kilogram because just watts alone doesn't tell the whole story. You can have, say, a car that has lots of horsepower, like a dragster, has like 1,000 horsepower, can cover the quarter mile in less than 8 seconds. Now, you can have a truck that has 1,000 horsepower and it's pulling 80,000 pounds of payload. It's not going to cover that quarter mile in less than 8 seconds, but it's got the same horsepower. So if you were just to look at power, you'd say objectively, those two vehicles have the same amount of power. But also, those two vehicles will not perform the same way in the quarter mile. And that's down to their mass. The main thing to remember is that when people talk about what their functional threshold power is in raw numbers, you're not getting the whole story. Your functional threshold power is part of the story, but so is your body weight. You can generate lots of power, but you still have to drag around yourself and your bike. And the heavier that is, well, the less effective that power is going to be in creating speed, moving it around. So the ratio that I look at is watts per kilogram. And the magic number, after all of that, the magic number that lets me know that I can do a century ride or a 200K brevet is 2. And I put it to you that that is the number for anyone. Now that seems kind of low if you're a racer, and you're right. But a brevet is not a race, and usually a century ride is not a race either. All I'm talking about is a level of fitness that you need to get through one of those events. Of course, you're going to want to have more than that level of fitness because it's always good to have a little extra in reserve. And if you're going to be doing longer events, then the fitter you are, the better your outcome's going to be. And even if you don't intend to do longer events, having the extra fitness in reserve will just make the event more fun. This magic number of 2.0, how does this measure up against a competitive cyclist? Well, let's see. When you get to 2.5 watts per kilo, then you're in the entry-level racing cyclist. That's category 5. That's where that level starts. So from 2.0 watts per kilo to 2.5 watts per kilo, you're pretty much in recreational cyclist zone. But on the upper end of that, you can start to think about racing. Once you reach 3 watts per kilo, then you're in category 4 zone. Category 4 racing. Still a beginner level, but the speeds are faster and the fitness level is higher. At 3.5 watts per kilo, now you're looking at category 3. You're a category 3 racer, you're in probably the most competitive amateur racing category. Most people can reach a 3.5 watts per kilo fitness level. So you're not dealing with super elite cyclists. Once you reach 4 watts per kilo, you're talking about competitive cyclists on a regional level. Category 2 cyclists are kind of one step below category 1/pro cyclists. They're gonna live in the 4 watt and 4.5 watt area per kilo. The next level is a category 1. Category 1 cyclists are 4.7 watts per kilo and higher. These are your national level cyclists. Just for perspective, when you're talking about the world-class cyclists, the Giro d'Italia, the Tour de France, these are the World Tour riders, 6 watts per kilo. That's where they live. These are the genetically gifted athletes. This is just not working hard to get to 6 watts per kilo. You have to have something special to get up there. So there you go. The 2 watts per kilo to ride a century, all the way up to 6 watts a kilo to ride a world tour. I think most cyclists want to live somewhere between the 3 and 4 watts per kilo area. I know that for me, when I was in 3.2 to 3.3 watts per kilo, I felt pretty good, pretty strong. I'm always aiming for 4 watts per kilo. One day I might get there. But as long as I can complete the events that I want to complete, the numbers aren't as important to hit for me. But there's no question that having more fitness is better. It's like having money in the bank. You might not use it all, but it's nice knowing that it's there. Okay, so that's the objective way of knowing when you're ready. There are other ways of knowing what your fitness level is. The old school ways are things like having a timed course. For example, I have a 21-mile loop that I know if I can do that consistently, and consistently is the main word there. If I can do that consistently in an hour and 5 minutes, definitely under an hour and 10 minutes, then I'm in pretty good shape. I can do a century if I can do that. If you have a target of riding a century ride and you have a program of riding longer each week, let's say you increase your distance 5% each week during that program. Once you reach the point where your long rides are 66 to 75% of your target distance, you're ready to go. You can attempt that ride. So that's to say that if you can ride 75 miles, you can ride 100 miles. So there you go. Those are 3 ways that you can tell if you're ready. All right, well, the sun is going down here. The shadows are getting long, and it seems more people are coming out into the park. I'm gonna leave it here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.